Good morning, everybody. My name is Sandy Kaecher, and I'm with Aflac. No, just kidding. For my fellow networkers. My name is Sandy Kaecher, and I am running for post 2 Paulding County Commissioner. There are a lot of things going on in Paulding County. A lot is in post 2. Post 2 seems to be what people are talking about. I want to, because the big businesses aren't coming to Paulding right now, I would like to work on that to bring the big businesses in. We need infrastructure to do that. I'm not talking about businesses with 500, 1,000 employees. I'm talking about 100 employees and up. Manufacturers. Businesses that will pay good money to their employees. We have Chattahoochee Tech, we have Georgia Highlands, we have Kennesaw State in our backyard. We need to take those students and we need to employ them here in Paulding County. That's what I want to do. I know the big thing is the airport, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up and get it over with. I support a strong, viable, I support 100% general aviation airport. There's a lot of things we can do with the general aviation airport that we have not done. I've been out there, I've seen the plans. There is a lot of money out there. We just need to bring it into Paulding County. I would love to work on that with the other board of commissioners. We have a gold mine. We need to use it. We can bring in industry out there. There is plenty of room. How we're going to do it, it's going to take a full board of commissioners to do it. I can't do it by myself, but I want to work on that. We have, Paulding County is beautiful. We can work on tourism, and I'm not talking about Disney World, Sea World, anything like that, but we do have things in Paulding that we can improve, such as the battlefields. There is not a lot of money going into parks and recreation, and we need to work on that as well. The battlefields, from what I'm told, needs a lot of improvement, and we could bring people in there to see that. So there's, again, a lot of things in Paulding County that we need to work on. The licensing and permitting departments, we need to help make that better, give them tools that they can use and bring in business to Paulding County. It's very hard, I'm hearing every day, to open up shop in Paulding County. I want to work on that with the other commissioners as well. Any questions? I'll open it up for questions.
Any questions for Sandy? Yes.
You've stated your position on the general aviation airport. What's your position on a commercial airport?
The commercial airport, I am doing research on that. I don't have all the information to say yes or no to it, but when I have all the information, it could go either way. The information that I'm getting from some people and the information I'm getting from other people, completely different. It's 50-50. So I'm not for it and I'm not against it. But I do want to see a general aviation airport out there. They have plenty of room for industrial parks and hangars. Every airplane that comes into Paulding County and puts in one of our hangars, that's ad valorem taxes. So there's money to be made out there. We just need to find a way to do it. We need to work together as a community and not be split anymore. We are fighting ourselves and we're not getting anywhere.
Thank you for your answer. I am not happy to hear that you're running an election and you're not taking a position on Paulding County's largest, biggest issue. But, I mean, that's fine. You do what you need to do, but I'm just letting you know that.
And I am taking a position. If I had all the information that the Board of Commissioners have, I would be better able to make a decision on that airport.
It's available.
As far as...
I mean, everything is available.
Not everything. But from what I see, I can't make a decision for or against right now.
That's very safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think the airport is a big issue, but Paulding County has so many other issues besides that that's going on. With infrastructure, I mean, the sewer line that was put in here in Hiram that was turned over to the county, I think there's been 2 businesses, the city, and I believe where we're at right now, that tapped into it. It's not paying for itself. It's not going to pay for itself for many, many years. Building new infrastructure is going to be very difficult. How would you go about doing that and limiting the tap-in fees to make people want to tap into it, to make the infrastructure viable?
We need to share the cost with the builders, number one. When the builders come in, we need to share the cost with them. As far as the infrastructure goes, we do need infrastructure. We need sewer lines. We do not have it all over the county. We need to work on that. We need to work with the construction and the contractors to bring the sewer into Paulding County. We definitely need to make it affordable for people to tap into. That's another thing that I will work on with the county commissioners. We've got to work together again as a community. We need to bring our boards together. Our boards are working, going in a different direction. We need to bring them back together. The school board, the airport, the EDO. EDO, we need to get them involved. They pretty stagnant right now. There's not a lot going on over at EDO. So we need to bring them together, and we just all need to work together.
What made you decide to run?
I decided to run because I've been here for 10 years. When we first moved here, everything was going along great. I got into the networking and saw more of what was going on. I started going to the commissioners' meetings, and things started changing. Things kind of stopped, and I want to get them going again. The economy is growing. Everything's growing around us. The other counties, things are coming into other counties, but they aren't coming here for some reason. I want to find out why, and I want to help move us along.
Dysfunctional.
You mentioned the Economic Development Board, and of course Chamber of Commerce plays a big role in bringing businesses into Paulding County. And in the past, the money going from the county to those boards was cut, obviously showing that they weren't real interested in the development of business in this county. Would you support putting funds back into economic development, into the Chamber of Commerce to rebuild that part and bring business here?
I do a lot for the Paulding Chamber of Commerce. I am very involved. I'm a past board member of the chamber. We work very hard to bring businesses in. We work very hard to get those small businesses up and running. The EDO, I would definitely support them as long as they're out there trying to bring businesses into Paulding. We've got to work, again, all together. We can't be split. We've got to work together.
How do you balance bringing business in and giving them all the support that they would need regarding infrastructure versus, or balance it with not raising taxes?
Again, we need to work together as a community, as a board of commissioners, Everybody needs to work together to make a plan, to make this happen in Paulding. We've got to work together. We can't separate ourselves. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen.
And our taxes will go up anyway.
But regardless of that, there's still a price tag attached to everything.
Yes, there is.
So, you know.
We need to bring businesses in to help defer that tax burden from the property tax owners.
Well, ultimately, yeah, that may be the end result. I'm just wondering, you know, how you protect us in the process of doing that.
I don't think there's a way that taxes couldn't go up because the past boards didn't charge the impact fees necessary to build infrastructure. So, I mean, I think it's inevitable that we're going to pay a little bit more in tax until we get this mess cleaned up that has been left on our citizens' hands.
We got a couple million sitting in litigation if you use. I'm just saying.
We have 40 million sitting in an airport that we don't use. How about that?
And litigation is so much cheaper than commercialization, trust me.
Any other questions?
Sandy, there was a report that was put out, and I saw on the website, that they reported that 198 new businesses had filed in Pownall County. When I further investigated it, it turned out that a lot of those businesses were not actual businesses. They were people that had to apply for business licenses to come into the county to work, like in construction, reservoir, different things. And although that number looked great, when you get to delving into it, it really isn't. And one of the things that you made a point to say, and I do appreciate it, was the fact that we have so many, I forgot how many hoops businesses have to jump through in order to get open. And where other counties, it may be 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, we may have a double of that. Would you support really reducing the number of items that these businesses have to go through in order to open up?
With the help of the other board members, absolutely. Absolutely. It needs to be done together. I'm one person. It won't be done on my own. We need to support each other and get things like that done, absolutely. We need to be able to open our doors, to have people come in, easily open a good, viable business, and employ our citizens.
One more question. I've recently run into a situation, I know this happens all over Paulding County, but I've recently ran into a situation where the code enforcers had stamped off on a design plan for some units, and then after the fact had come back and said, oh, by the way, you can't do this, costing the builder and the owner of those thousands of additional dollars. And this is why we get a reputation in this county, because they came back after the fact and said, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, and they have to tear out walls, they have to cut stuff off and redo stuff, and then they don't want to come back and build in Paulding County. Would you look into that and make that steps, do things to make that process right, so you don't go, builders and owners don't have to go back and redo those kind of things here in the county and run people off?
Absolutely. It does, when our builders in Paulding County have to come back and do things like that, it is very expensive. It puts a big hole in their pocket, making them not want to do business in Paulding again. I've talked to several builders, and from what they tell me, it is very hard to go down there and get what they need to get their business going out here. So yes, absolutely. Again, with the help of the board, I would definitely advocate for that.
I have a comment and question for you. I know I've talked with some builders too. We're really looking for a lot of new development in the New Georgia area. I've heard some of the same comments about what they go through. So right now, the property owners pay the burden of taxes here in this county through the homeowners. That's what we have to do. We've got to get new business in, and I support any efforts to get new business into this county. But in the meantime, if we're not being builder friendly and helping them build new units, is the recession's over, aren't we hurting ourselves? We're cutting down new home building, or could be cutting down new home building that would bring in more property taxes until we can get new businesses in here. We've got to get new businesses in and release or reduce the burden on the homeowners. But in the meantime, why would we penalize ourselves in not being builder friendly? And I don't think we're builder friendly based on some of the things I've seen. So what would you do on that?
Well, we need to change our ways. We need to open up that licensing and permitting department. We just need to change up some things. We need to work with them. They're doing the best they can, I'm sure. I've talked to several of them down there. They are definitely doing the best they can. They just need help. Things need to be changed. We haven't changed anything. They need to be changed. We need to update our licensing and permitting processes.
Well, thank you, Sandy, for being here.
Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Todd, host 2 commissioner, and I am seeking my 3rd term for re-election. Some people have asked me, why are you seeking your 3rd term? And I think we still got plenty of work to do. I think we got a lot of good things going on right now in the county, and I'm looking forward to serving a 3rd term and being able to finish some things up. Folks asked me how I got involved and what made me decide to run for politics to begin with. And basically, I got involved in local government back in the late 90s. And then in the early 2000s, I got a little bit more involved and was able to start working on some folks' campaigns. And the best thing that came out of working on folks' campaigns is just meeting people. And I've learned that anything that we do, Julie and I have learned that anything we do when it comes to volunteerism, whether it's working in campaigns, working in the school system, through the booster clubs, Relay for Life, through our church, foster care, the best thing about that is just meeting people. And so that's, to me, that's the reward that you get. And after helping several folks on campaigns throughout the years in the early 2000s, I really felt it led on my heart that God wanted me to run. I knew at that time that, you know, it's about running the race. It's not always about the finish line. So we ran the race, and I was lucky enough and blessed enough to get put in office and serve the people of Post 2. Since then, there's been a lot of things go on that when I ran the first time, I had no idea that some of these things were going to happen, issues that we're dealing with today. But I made a couple notes here, and I wanted to hit on some highlights of just some positive things that we've done and some good things that have happened over the last several years. We've been working on the reservoir since I got in office in January of 2011. That was my first day in office, January 1, 2011. And since then, every vote that we've had has always been a 5-0 vote when it comes to that reservoir. And I think that there's most people agree with it, the voters voted for it. But I think what's going to happen is 25 years from now, folks are going to look back and they're going to say, hey, you know what, the leadership that was in place at that time, the leadership in not only on the Board of Commissioners, but in the county, in the cities, the leadership that was in on this, as far as the citizens and the citizens voted for it, they're going to say those folks made just a great decision. Look where we're at and look at the asset that we have now, because we have the water that we have. I'm excited about that we were able to bring the Georgia State Patrol here to Paulding County. I think it's another level of security. It's a great opportunity we have, and they're in the water department building. It used to be the water department building on Bill Crew. And several things happened there. The water department had outgrown that building. And so it worked out good to have that as the facility for the Georgia State Patrol. Driver services. We brought the driver's license place. At one time, we actually used to be able to get our driver's license in Paulding. It was at the Dallas Library. And that went away. And so bringing back Georgia State Patrol and the driver services is a great opportunity for the citizens, that we don't have to go in another county and wait in line. We put a new fire station out in Post 2 on Mulberry Rock Road. We did a study, and we got looking to see where we needed firehouses and what could we do to help out with the citizens' insurance rates. And what we realized is we needed to put some smaller firehouses in spots where we needed them and not think that we need to spend millions of dollars on a larger firehouse, take that money, divide it out a little bit, and put some smaller ones in there. And so that's been a success there, and I'm excited about that. Post 2 has its first new large park. Post 2 didn't have the large park before. Some folks have asked how come it's out on Mulberry Rock Road. Even some folks have asked why wasn't it pushed on out there in the Yorkville area. Well, that's a good question. Post 2 used to stop at Buchanan Highway. Post 2 didn't go from Buchanan Highway all the way out towards the airport in 278. So when they bought that land years ago, Don Powell was in office, they bought the property, and that's where they purchased it at, and that was more in the center of Post 2 at that time. Beautiful park, passive park. It's a lot like White Oak Park, and we're real excited about that. Vernon mentioned the 911 center, and I know he didn't get too much in the details. It was very interesting that when the 911 center was originally brought to us, it was brought to us and they wanted to do that in a fire station up at the airport. Well, when they brought that to us, not everybody was forthright with what they were doing. They didn't let everyone know that what they were really working on was a commercial airport up there. The vote happened to put the 911 center up there in the firehouse, and then later they announced a commercial airport. Why would you ever have a 911 center at a commercial airport? So I did some research, found out that not only would you not, the government everywhere, state and local government, recommend do not do it. Do not ever do that. So Tony Crow took the lead on that. We got looking and we ended up finding out there were 3 spots to put it originally. The #1 spot is exactly where we put it. We actually own the land right there beside the DFAX building, and that's where the 911 center is today. That was important to me because if we had waited around to put it in an area that it didn't need to be, which was up at the airport, if we had waited on that, the citizens would still be without a 911 center. And why would we do that? So we got that done. It's a great facility for the employees. If you've ever been to the old 911 center, you would know firsthand, hey, we needed a new 911 center. And you know what? It's not, citizens don't think about it until they push the buttons 911. When they push it, they expect things to happen. And in that facility that we have, things are going to happen, and we're going to take care of the citizens. And that's one of the things that make me sleep good at night, to know that. Vernon touched on sewer and water, and we're working on a lot of things when it comes to sewer and water. I'm very excited that we're having a widening of Highway 92. Our DOT department, along with the state, has worked on that forever. Still working on plans right now of Highway 61, and that'll come sometime. One of the things that was never really out front that I'm excited that I had a small part in was allowing citizens to speak. There was a time where there was folks on the Board of Commissioners, my first term, that did not want citizens to be able to speak. They didn't want them to be able to come up there during a commission meeting. I felt like that was important. We needed to make sure that landowners that own land in the county and the citizens, the taxpayers, had an opportunity to come up there and speak. Whether it was throwing darts at me or not, it didn't matter. They needed that opportunity to do it, and I have fought hard to make sure that continues on. We're working on a park study right now. The park study is to find out exactly what the folks are looking for out there in the park. One of the #1 things is walking trails, passive parks like White Oak and the new Mulberry Rock Park. But we're looking at, hey, how many folks want to look at ball fields? What do they want to look at? Is tennis courts, basketball? What else do they want to look at? So we're spending some money on the park study to get that done so that we know what folks are looking for today, tomorrow, and in the future. And that'll help us to know what we need to do in those parks, because we've got parks like Mulberry Rock Park that will actually have a second section in it in years to come. And I'd like to thank the citizens for their splashed vote, because that's why we're able to build those parks. We're working on the new jail. Voters voted for the new jail. doing a lot of work on stormwater. And some folks think that's not a big deal. Several years back before I got in office, they cut stormwater out of the budget. Well, that's fine to cut something out of the budget, but I don't believe that if you have a department that needs to be there, you don't just need to cut it. You need to trim some things, get you through the tough times, and then bring it back. Stormwater is going to affect us very hard here the next 10 to 15 years. It's affecting us now. Developments that were built back in the 80s, there are some of those stormwater things, the culverts, they're failing, and we're having to go in there and take care of that. That's why we want to make sure that builders and developers put the right thing in the ground and do it the correct way, because at the end, the taxpayers are going to pay for that. Maybe 20, 30, 40 years down the road, but it's going to happen. Stormwater is a very vital, important thing in this county, but it's another one of those things, until you find out that it's failing, you didn't know that we needed it. Another thing that we're working on right now, Bernie mentioned several things, but we've got voters voted 2 splosh votes ago for a fire station out 278 West. Well, we're working on that. We're this close to that. And we're excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. And if everybody will continue working together, we're going to have a groundbreaking on that before the end of the year. The citizens deserve that firehouse. That firehouse was not voted to put in any certain post, because I want to remind you that 278 West towards the airport, on both sides of the road when the original vote was done, happened to be in post 4. Not post 2 and 4, but post 4. Now the district lines changed because of the 2010 census. Then you've got post 2 on the left, you've got post 4 on the right. But that firehouse is going to be out there some way to serve the citizens in that area. We need it for Pownall Elementary and that surrounding area. We're a long ways away from other firehouses there, and we've done a lot of work the last 90 days on trying to get that done. We've worked on it before with some pushback, but I believe that's going to happen soon. One of the questions that came up a little earlier, somebody asked a question about moratoriums. It's not a political move on moratoriums, not at all. If you ask the past chairman, not the one that just left, but the one before that, if you ask that chairman and you ask those board commissioners who were there at the time, they'll say one of the biggest mistakes that they made were allowing PRDs to be down to 8,000 square foot lots. I'm in the real estate business. I've been in that all my life. You look at what happened in Hiram at the subdivision not too long ago. When you're looking at 8,000 square foot lots, you're going to have problems. That's been on our mind. We've actually worked on things the last 12 months. We put the moratoriums in place because of certain things. There's so many lots on the ground right now that are already zoned PRD that we're not going to have any control over. Talked about the development up north of the county, and I'll try not to mention names, but when you talk about that and that was a political thing, that was not a political thing. You can go and you can say as a developer, as a builder, that I want to rezone these lots, and you get 300 lots. And they say, well, you're going to have to do this road, and help out here, and do this and this. And then all of a sudden you come back in and you want 300 more, and you want another 100 more, and you want this. What you've done is you've asked, and 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 you've received this, and before you know it, you've got so many houses down that road that some of us drive in there and say, did they not have another way out? Well, there is another way out. But it's not the county's responsibility, the Board of Commissioners, nor is it the taxpayers, to pay for those other ways out. You got to work together. Those folks are in business, and it's not my job to see that that person makes a profit. It's my job to see that the citizens of Paulding County are protected. That particular issue came up. There were all kinds of stipulations that were there. That person didn't want to go with the stipulations. Those stipulations were on the other one that we approved that day. He decided to go along with the stipulations. You got to do what you got to do. They're there to protect you, the citizens. That's why they're there. That's why there was a zoning not too long ago that we turned down because they wanted a private sewer system. We're not allowed to do that in Paulding County. And if we allow private sewer systems, before we know it, you guys are going to be paying for those upgrades, millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I said that in that meeting.
Todd, can you take some questions?
I'll be glad to take, I do, okay, I'll be
You
glad
only
to
have
take
a
some
minute.
questions. Okay, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
who has a question, because he only has a minute 12.
I have a minute 12.
I have one question.
Okay.
Last week at the airport authority meeting, when the airport authority went into or adjourned and just into their session, you and Mr. Collette stood up and talked to the citizens. You said what I have been told by several people and from seeing a video that you and Vernon and Tony Crow helped to write or wrote the resolution 1501. Is that, the three of you wrote the resolution 1501? That's yes or no?
I didn't say that. That was actually said by Mr. Klett. He didn't say that Tony wrote it. He said it was input from all three of us.
Okay.
When all three of us put input on it, all three of us put input. Myself put some things together, and Vernon put some things together on resolution 1501.
Who actually wrote it?
That was done by Vernon and myself.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you have any assistance from a legal?
I did not.
Any lawyers help write it?
I did not.
Anybody from out of county help write it?
Absolutely not. I did not. No. Okay. And I think that question was answered that day.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll be glad. Look here. I got nothing but time. I'll be glad to answer your
You
questions.
just answered it.
And when it comes to the airport issues, go at me. I'll let Jim go, but I will be glad to sit here. I'll have breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, and whatever.
And my coat on.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.